In this video, we're going to talk about the Engage the Senses strategy benefiting from repeated exposures. Whether it be a new experience, such as digging through the dirt for worms, or trying a new food at lunchtime, you have probably experienced situations when a child in your classroom was hesitant to try something new. While it can be frustrating, children's hesitancy to engage in new experiences is common during the preschool years. But did you know you can help children overcome their fear of new experiences through one simple tactic? Repeated exposure. An exposure is simply any time children have an opportunity to engage with an unfamiliar object or experience. By repeating these experiences over and over, children engage with new objects and experiences until they're no longer new. Let's think of an example. Say you hear a song on the radio for the first time and you hate it. Nothing about the lyrics, tune, or beat is catchy. The next day on your way to work, you hear it again. After school, one of your coworkers comes in and shows you the same song again. You find yourself beginning to like it. In fact, to your dismay, you may even find yourself humming the tune in the middle of the day. By the end of the month, it's your new favorite song. This is the effect of repeated exposures. Repeated exposure works for food experiences too. In fact, repeated exposure is suggested to be the most effective way for getting children to eat healthier foods. There's a saying that children like what they know and eat what they like. The more frequently a child is exposed to a new food, particularly vegetables, the more familiar they become. The more familiar they become, the more likely it is for a child to eat that healthy food in the future. In other words, repeated exposures work by helping children know, and eventually like, healthy foods. You can provide children with repeated exposures to healthy foods by creating experiences with the same healthy foods multiple times in multiple different forms. For instance, cooked, raw, chopped, diced, or mixed in another dish. Now, you may be familiar with exposing children to foods during meals and snacks. But have you ever thought about exposing children to foods in other learning environments such as science, mathematics, and reading? In fact, some children may be more likely to try a new food after first being exposed to it outside of the snack or mealtime, since children are free to explore the food without the added stress of needing to eat their vegetables. As you continue exposing children to healthy food, don't feel discouraged if a child continues to reject a healthy food. Research suggests it may take some children 5 to 15 exposures to a vegetable before a child starts to like it. But there is good news. Even just reading a book about vegetables 5 or more times can improve children's liking and willingness to taste the featured vegetables. So how can you get to that golden number of 5 to 15 exposures in your classroom? A great place to start is to think about what healthy fruits and vegetables appear on your center's menus. By using foods that already appear in meals and snacks, you don't have to worry about securing additional resources. Simply use what you have. Let's say after looking at the menu, you notice broccoli will be served a few times in the next 2 weeks. Use that as a springboard to begin planning activities to do in your classroom related to broccoli. For example, one day during circle time, read children a story about broccoli. The next day, bring in a head of broccoli to share with the class and encourage children to observe the broccoli and ask questions. Later in the week, talk about why broccoli is green and introduce the new word chlorophyll, what makes broccoli green. You can even try steaming broccoli in your classroom to observe how the color of water changes. Ask children questions such as, does the water look the same or different after steaming the broccoli? Or does the broccoli look the same or different? Towards the end of the week, have children help make a broccoli recipe like broccoli raisin salad. By including these activities, plus the exposures children already have built into the mealtime environment, you will reach 5 to 15 exposures in no time. Now that you've learned about the second strategy for engaging the senses in the process of science, let's take a moment to review what we've learned. A great strategy to reduce preschoolers' fear of the new is repeated exposure. Repeated exposure is simply allowing children to engage with a new or unfamiliar subject multiple times so that it is no longer new or scary. Repeated exposure is a great way to encourage children to consume healthy foods. You can help children to reach the golden number of 5 to 15 exposures by creating learning experiences in your classroom that are centered around healthy foods. Don't forget to look at your center menu to see which vegetables you could focus learning activities around this week. For more ideas, check out your Peas Teaching Guide.